A 19-year-old kid who chose not to fight back after being randomly jumped from behind by a complete stranger because he didn't want to escalate the situation ended up losing his life anyway. This is 19-year-old Joonhee Han, and exactly 1 month ago today on July 18th, roughly around 4:30 in the afternoon, Joonhee was walking down the street in Koreatown roughly around 7th and Serrano, right near this driving range located on Serrano Avenue. And as Joonhee was walking down the sidewalk with headphones on, he happened to pass by another man going the opposite direction as him on an electric scooter. And as you oftentimes do walking past other people, they happen to make quick, brief eye contact, but had no other interaction whatsoever. And moments after they passed each other, Joonhee, who again had headphones on and did not hear the man, run up behind him and push him really hard from behind to the point that Joonhee fell onto the sidewalk. And as he fell, he hit his face and his head on the concrete. But that wasn't even the end, because that man then got on top of Joonhee and started punching him. And Joonhee, who's obviously in decent shape, chose not to fight back because he was actually nervous that the man might be armed and didn't want to escalate the situation. And after the altercation, because Joonhee showed no signs of severe injury, he just got up, walked away, and went home. And then in the days after, outside of just the cuts and bruises and a little bit of soreness, Joonhee thought that he felt completely fine. Fast forward 4.5 days later on July 23rd, roughly around 1:55 in the morning, Joonhee was walking with friends not that far from where he was assaulted on 8th and Mariposa. And while walking on the sidewalk with a group of his friends, Joonhee all of a sudden collapsed, and he immediately turned pale, started vomiting, and lost vision in one of his eyes before he passed out. And one of his friends who was studying nursing tried to do CPR and called 911 immediately. And Joonhee was immediately taken to the hospital and put on a ventilator. And hours later on that morning of July 23rd, Joonhee initially started to show signs of improvement. But by 2 p.m. that same day, his vitals started to immediately deteriorate and he had to go into emergency surgery. But by 2 days later on July 25th, Joonhee was unfortunately declared brain dead. And the medical staff at the hospital at this point started recommending to Joonhee's parents that he be taken off of life support so that he can peacefully go on his own. However, Joonhee's mom had a really hard time letting go of her oldest son and opposed Joonhee being taken off of life support for 5 days. And on that 5th day, it was Joonhee's father that was able to persuade Joonhee's mother to allow their son to be taken off of life support and be able to fulfill Joonhee's wish of being able to become an organ donor. And it was on August 1st that Joonhee was taken off of life support and that his organs were then donated to multiple people and saved their lives. The one thing that's really bothering me about the coverage of Joonhee's story is that the American media is claiming that the LAPD are telling them that they are unclear as to Joonhee's cause of death. However, the Korean media, who published Joonhee's story days before any of the American media even knew about Joonhee, confirmed with the LAPD that they were treating Joonhee's case as a homicide, and even corroborated that claim with someone from the coroner's office who confirmed that the autopsy was conducted as part of an ongoing LAPD homicide investigation. And the coroner's office confirmed that Joonhee's cause of death was due to brain damage caused by a blood clot resulting from the assault rather than a naturally occurring stroke, and that the case has been since deferred to the district attorney's office. Which is wild that all of the American media is publishing stuff like this when this was confirmed by the coroner's office days before they even published this story. But the one thing that LAPD has said is that they are lacking substantial evidence and they are really relying on eyewitness accounts. So if you know anything about this interaction at all that involved this young man being pushed to the ground by someone who was riding an electric scooter moments before right near this area, or if you drove by in this area and you have a dash cam, or you have any businesses or residents in the area with a camera, I need you to check all of the footages that day and look for a black man riding an electric scooter roughly around 4:30 p.m. on July 18th. And I need you to call this number immediately so that we can get justice for Joonhee Han. Because Joonhee Han was the epitome of a good kid, who was the oldest brother of 2 younger brothers and was clearly their biggest role model. Also, if you are able, please help Joonhee's family out to help cover the funeral and the medical costs. And rest in peace, Joonhee Han.